Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over the Øresund once again to Copenhagen in Denmark, and we're going to revisit a brewery that I've had some very good experiences with in the past, and I'm really curious to see how this particular beer turns out. So for this one we are going to do my third or fourth review, if I'm remembering correctly, from Dry and Bitter Brewery. This one is called the Double Dippy Do, and it's a double IPA coming in at 7.5% ABV. So it should be very nice, this one. This is yet another beer that was recommended to me by the guys at Kiosk in Copenhagen. And you know, when they recommend you a beer and tell you that it's one of the really nice IPAs in Denmark at the moment, you do take their advice, because they really know what they're talking about over there. So check out the link to their Facebook page in the description below, and you can have a look at all the very interesting Danish beers that are going around at the moment. So yeah, very much looking forward to this, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Dry and Bitter before. No doubt there will be some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Danish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Dry and Bitter Brewery then. So Dry and Bitter Brewery were founded back in 2015 by the owners of Fermentoren. This is Søren Parker Wagner and J Pod, and they were doing this basically as a continuation of the Crooked Moon brewing brand. But they were also involved in founding Ølkollektivet, which is a collective brewing space that they have up in Gørløse, which is in the former Stronso brewing facility. They founded this with a few others initially who went on to found their own companies, and the brewery brew their beers up there along with Gamma Brewing and also Ølsnedkeren as well. And Black Seed, Black Rooster and also Ghost Brewing, if I'm remembering correctly, have brewed their beers there at different points. I'm not sure, there's one of the breweries where Contract Brewing the bad seed beers for a while, but I'm not sure if that is actually still going on. But the brewery, in addition to the Fermentoren bar in Copenhagen, which isn't too far from Warpigs actually, it's just along the road from Kiosk, in addition to the one in Copenhagen, they also have another Fermentoren bar in Aarhus as well, and their beers, they've got some beers that are brewed exclusively for each of the different bars, but they brew somewhere in the region of, I think it might be around 500,000 litres of beer per year they're doing now, and they also hold their own festival, which is called Fermentoren's Flying Circus, and you always get some very good events at Fermentoren as well when MBCC, the Big Mikkeller Copenhagen Beer Festival, is going on too. But yeah, Fermentoren, very nice beer bar, and they've always got some really kind of interesting stuff going on down there. It's one of the places that I always quite like to visit when I go to Copenhagen, but usually it's Warpigs and Kiosk that I end up going to. And every so often RampantLionReviews, sometimes I'll go to some of the other craft beer shops as well, but yeah, you know, I really like the old fish market area that they have in Copenhagen too. So if you get the chance to go and visit Warpigs and stuff, I would recommend that. Kiosk as well, you're going to be able to find some of these dry and bitter beers, and I really would recommend the beers from Gamma and Ølsnedkeren as well. All three of those breweries that are involved in Ølkollektivet, they're doing some really interesting stuff. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about Dry and Bitter just now. The most recent development for these guys is that they've installed the canning line, so you're now starting to get the Gamma beers, the Ølsnedkeren beers, and also the Dry and Bitter beers in cans rather than bottles now, which is kind of cool. So keep an eye out for that, and you probably will start to see them exporting a little bit more. Dry and Bitter is fairly widely available in the UK now, from what I understand. We were getting them up in Scotland, and I think you can get them a little bit further afield than that too. But yeah, as I always say, check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and stuff, and that'll keep you up to date with all the latest goings on there. But yeah, let's get on to the tasting of this beer itself. As I mentioned at the start of the video, this one is a 7.5% double IPA. It says on the side here, Double Dippy Do, double dry hop double IPA. Sometimes it's double or nothing, and with the Double Dippy Do, we're all in. A double dry hopped double IPA in which the rolling hills of oats and wheat are paired with mountains of Citra and Simcoe. The combination of a velvety mouthfeel and tropical zing might just make you want to Double Dippy Do it all over again. So yeah, As I say, nicely presented beer, this one. 440ml can this. As I say, I always complain about these cans. They're modelled on the American pint. The American pint is somewhere around the 450ml mark. I don't get why, you know, they don't just do a half litre and charge us a little bit more. But, yeah, no, it's one of these things. But yeah, really nicely presented beer, this one. There you can see the Dry and Bitter Brewery symbol, as I showed you earlier, and there you can also see the Danish Recycle pant thing. So yeah, without further ado then, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting. I'm really curious to see how this turns out. Citra and Simcoe, you know, it's a little bit nostalgic, that actually, because Citra and Simcoe were two of the favourite hops that brewers used to pair together, but of course in recent times there's been a hell of a lot more hops, and Simcoe actually, I feel, has taken a bit of a back seat to Galaxy. Simcoe, of course, was very well known for its, we can get rid of the brewery notes now. Simcoe, of course, was very, very well known for its passion fruity qualities. But in recent times, of course, we've had the Galaxy coming out from Australia, which is very passion fruity, but it's also got the, you know, the complexities of pineapple and stuff. So Simcoe isn't used as much in beers these days, from just when I'm thinking off the top of my head. But with this beer, this one's poured a very, very kind of pale yellow colour. That's you know, it's one of the paler New England IPAs that I've come across in recent times, but very, very hazy. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see just exactly how hazy that beer is. There's one finger of a frothy, I would say slightly creamy coloured head, this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass then, and a few little ones heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, overall, it does look pretty nice, and in terms of its appearance, it's not overly surprising when you consider that it is a New England IPA. So yeah, let's have a look at the aroma and just see how we get on with this beer. Oh, I'll tell you something, the way the malty notes are coming out of this, the oats and the wheat, I think this is going to be a lovely, lovely beer. So yeah, lovely big smooth white bready kind of wheaty note to this one. The oaty creaminess is coming out really, really nicely, and you've also got a little touch of a kind of biscuity sweetness in there too. Yeah, it's got a lovely biscuity sweetness to it. It's very subtle, that, actually, but it just comes across really nicely. This is one of these beers, my impression of this beer in terms of its aroma is that it is actually quite a simple one, and I've been saying this in a couple of reviews recently. Sometimes going for simplicity is a good move. You know, if you can do a beer that's kind of simple in its idea but execute it very well, you know, it's a very solid move to make. It's a very solid kind of card to play, if you like. On the green side of the hops with this beer, you can pick up a little bit of, you know, that there's a little touch of floral quality in there, but to me, mainly the green side of the hops is grassy. You can pick up a little bit of floral sharpness, maybe even a little touch of spiciness, like I was saying. But yeah, mainly a grassy note for me in this one. And with the fruity notes, yeah, it's mangoes, which is from the Citra. The passion fruit's in there, that slightly darker passion fruit aroma that you'll get from the Simcoe. And you've also got a little bit of the kind of lychee and gooseberry complexities that you would get from the Citra as well. It's a really, really nice beer, this one, just in terms of its aroma, and it's a little bit nostalgic as well. As I said, you know, this is one of these beers that you might think back to, you know, 2015 or so, 2016, when the New England IPAs were just starting to come out. We think of the likes of the GBG, the New England's GBG Beer Week and stuff like this from Stigberg. It's here in Sweden. It really reminds me of that, actually. One of my favourite beers from Dry and Bitter as well is the Hobo Chick, which is a lovely kind of more West Coasty IPA. I would like to see more breweries going back to doing the West Coast ones. I do miss those. But yeah, this is a very nostalgic IPA for me in terms of its aroma. But let's have a taste of this one now and just see how we get on. So this one is the Double Dippy Do, a double dry hop, double IPA. It's 7.5% from Dry and Bitter, one of the breweries operating at Urkollektivet and Gurlas in the northern part of Copenhagen. Let's get stuck into this beer. Slange, skål. Oh yeah, that's a pretty damn nice beer, I have to say. It's a very, very easy drinker. That's the first thing you're going to notice about this one, is just how easy this beer is to drink. And it's got a lovely smoothness to it. I remember the other beers from Dry and Bitter. Dry and Bitter seem to have this way of getting the flavours out of the hops, where it's a very oily but still quite juicy, fruity quality. And it doesn't matter what beer you have, what kind of IPA it is, whether it's New England or West Coast, they just seem to have a knack for doing that. But yeah, this is a really, really nice New England IPA for me. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. And as I was suspecting when I was, looking at the aroma and stuff of this beer and thinking about it, this is one of these beers that, it's not complex, it's not as complex as you can get with this style, but it keeps it simple and it does it very, very well, and you can't really ask for much more than that. If they can pull off a beer like this, they can kind of pretty much do what they want, if you like. But this is very, very nice, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink that again. I'll give it a big thumbs up straight away. But let's just describe this one a little bit then. So in the middle of your palate, you can just feel the middle of your palate is blanketed with a nice sort of white, wheaty, bready quality. You can feel that going right across the middle of your tongue, as I've said. On top of that, you start to get the nice kind of creamy, oaty flavours. I do wonder if there's a little touch of dextrose or something like that in this one, because the malt base in this one, if I'm comparing this to the other New England IPAs that I've had in recent times, this one's very, very smooth. Ale Farm were one of the breweries in Denmark who always, their New England IPAs were bordering on milkshake IPAs, to be quite honest with you. This one isn't quite like that. It doesn't quite have that almost lactosey sweetness to it, but I do suspect there is a little touch of dextrose or dextrin or something like that in here, but it doesn't say that on the side of the can actually. But a very, very smooth malt base in this one, but it works very, very well. I like what they've done with the malty side of this beer. I always think adding a malt base, having a decent presence from your malt base can add it can really add another dimension to your beers. Yeah. In the middle of the palate then, you do pick out, and if you go to the very centre of your palate, you can pick out just a little bit of a nice slightly biscuity note in there, but that's very, very minimal. You've seen how long it was since I've taken a sip of this beer. It is just coming out that little bit more the further you go into the aftertaste. This one, the centre of your palate does just sweeten up a little bit, but I really like what they've done with the malt base on this one. The way that they've pulled that out quite nicely and just got it so smooth, I think works very, very well with this. So big thumbs up to Dry and Bitter in this one. On the hoppy side of things then, back corner of the palate, there's a teensy little bit of earthiness, but as you come further forward on this one, you get a nice kind of floral aromaticity. It's by no means spicy. It's actually, the thing that really strikes me about this beer is just how smooth it is. But as you come further forward along the sides of your palate, you can feel there is a little teeny bit of a spicy note at the front corners of your palate, but as you go round the very front curve of your tongue, you've got a lighter, grassy, kind of juicy element to this beer as well, which is very, very nice. The thing, again, that strikes me about this one, and it seems to be a trait with Dry and Bitter, is the way the fruity notes are coming out. So as I always say, if you go behind that front curve of your palate, you get that little oily bubble where those juicy, fruity esters start to come out of the beer, and the way that this does it is lovely. If you go towards the back of that oily bubble, it's the passion fruit that's sitting there. You can pick up almost a little tiny touch of grapefruit, which will be coming from the Citra. From what I gather, it is more Citra that's in this beer than Simcoe. It was saying on the website when I looked at it that there was a bit more Citra in this one than the Simcoe. But you've got a nice little touch of grapefruit just at the very back of that oily bubble. You've got some nice passion fruity notes in front of that, and a lot of mango. The further forward you come on the tongue, you start to get more of the mango. And just before the very front tip of your tongue, you've got a sort of lychee kind of gooseberry note out of this one. It's leaning more towards the lychee for me, and there might even be just a little touch of an almost limey note in there as well. Citra can give you that little complexity of lime. But again, the thing that really strikes me about this beer is how smooth it is, and it has that lovely oily, fruity character that seems to be a bit of a trait with the Dry and Bitter beers. It's one thing I've always loved about their beers, is just how smooth they are. And I think just as a personal point, I think it really reminds me of the New Zealand beers. Like when I went down to New Zealand in 2015 and tried some of their IPAs, and the juicy fruity qualities that you could get out of the Kiwi hops was unreal, and the way that the mouthfeel of these Dry and Bitter beers actually really reminds me of a number of the New Zealand IPAs that I reviewed back in the day. But this is another very, very solid beer. It's one of the New England IPAs that, as I say, keeps it simple but just executes everything very, very well. So it gets a big thumbs up with me, and I would say if you get the chance to try this one, I really would recommend that you have a go at it. I do want to review a few more beers from Dry and Bitter over the next little while. I think I need to review something from the dark side of the spectrum for these guys, because I think it has only really been IPAs that I've done from them. So that's something I'm going to look into the next time I make it over to Copenhagen. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel, this one is a mid-bodied beer. Carbonation is very, very smooth with this one. The mouthfeel overall, it does have an oily element to it the further into the aftertaste you go, but mainly, like I said, a very, very smooth mouthfeel. The malt base is lovely and smooth in this. It's very, very creamy. And you've also got a little kind of touch of sweetness in there from the biscuity notes. Good little bit of hoppy bitterness, but as I say, I think, you know, you're talking about 25 IBUs at most out of this beer. And you've also got some lovely oily, juicy, fruity quality to this one. I really like how they've pulled this beer off, so it gets a massive thumbs up from me. If you get the chance to try this one, have a go at it, and you will certainly not regret trying it. Any of the Dry and Bitter beers. Hobo Chick, if you want a West Coast IPA, Hobo Chick is a very, very solid West Coast double IPA that you can get quite easily now, actually. So that's one that I really would recommend you try, and this is one of the Danish craft breweries that you really need to have a go at these days. But let's leave it at that for this one. I feel I'm rambling now. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please, pardon me, like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from the Dry and Bitter Brewery as well, and we'll definitely return to these guys over the next little while. This has been a lovely beer to review, and I thank you guys for watching. Until the next time, Slanger just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Make sure you check out my social media, and make sure you try some of these Dry and Bitter beers from Copenhagen in Denmark. Slanger, skål.